It is a situation the entire country is watching play out. Much of the world, really. What we are seeing happening in Afghanistan right now, those gripping images over the last several days of desperate people trying to flee that country as the Taliban has now taken control. We would like to welcome in Dr. Ritu Mathur, Associate Professor at UTSA, the Department of Political Science and Geography, to give us some perspective on the things we all need to be understanding about what we're watching happen in Afghanistan. Dr. Mathur, thanks for being with us. Let's first start talking about what's the impact so far. What is happening in this country with this Taliban takeover?
As you can see from the images on the media, the situation is quite dire, and it's basically a humanitarian crisis unfurling over there. And it is basically a long war, and Afghanistan was also referred to as the bleeding wound for Russia. It became a bleeding wound for the USA also. And so the bleeding actually is taking place, I think, on both sides, from the American side as well as from the Afghan side. And so, in a sense, to take a certain degree of accountability, responsibility with regard to these developments, I think both from the Afghan side as well as from the American side is extremely important. And at this particular stage, it is not enough to say, oh, this is not the time to scrutinize. The military is too busy handling this particular situation. I think this is precisely the time when the iron is very hot, that journalists and academics have to ask very important and very tough questions about how did this happen and, why did this happen?
It's hard to remember how we got here, but this started for 20 years under President George Bush. He started it. It was continued and expanded under President Obama. President Donald Trump then said he was going to end it. He started peace talks with the Taliban. It has now fallen on President Joe Biden to continue that withdrawal. He said that this was inevitable, this collapse that we are seeing. Everybody wants to point fingers. Is there plenty of blame to go around for everyone, or is this squarely going to be remembered as President Joe Biden's mistake?
I think, it is not possible to just target one figure or one person who is in office, because Biden has been in office for last 6 months or so. But you cannot deny that he has been served in the Foreign Services Committee, being the vice president and the president. So he has been in the thick of affairs. But as you mentioned, for the last 20 years, we've had both the Republicans and the Democrats in office. And so how this war was managed right from the beginning till the present is very, very important. Now, if we just take a look at as Biden pointed out in his speech with regard to, his hands were tied with regard to the agreement which Trump administration had reached with the Taliban. And therefore, there was no way he could actually, move out of this particular agreement. And I tend to disagree with him on this because, if Trump had the courage to basically walk out of the agreement with Iran, what was there for Biden, in a sense, to rethink this agreement, or at least rethink the timelines within this particular agreement? I think that would have been very, very important. And if you want more details with regard to the problems with regard to this agreement, with the Trump and Taliban agreement, I'm more than happy to go into it with you.
I'd like to take a minute to talk about the impact to women. Something that has really struck me in watching the coverage of all of this. You think about such a dramatic change that has happened, a 20-year change. There was an entire new generation of young women living in Afghanistan who have not known anything different than what they've been living with for the past 2 decades. What do you think the impact will be to women, to young girls, when it comes to their rights, their educations, their futures?
It is very important that in the U.S. we're having a lot of chest beating with regard and this concern with regard to the emancipation of women and the children in Afghanistan. It is extremely important, and it should not be undermined at any cost. But actually, if you look at the Trump-Taliban agreement, there is not a single word in that agreement which talks about the rights of protection of the minorities or of women and children. Right? It does not talk anything with regard to the socioeconomic rights or the civil and political rights. Right? So now when you actually have to negotiate, right, you do not have the language to negotiate with it. And to just harp on human rights, right, and humanitarianism with regard to protection of women and children, it makes a lot of moral outcry with regard to it. But when you actually have to put it on the ground in action, right? There is very little to work with over here because even the character of humanitarianism has shifted from old humanitarianism. We have new humanitarianism, which is much more legalistic, which is much more militaristic, right? And so when we try to address the human suffering of women and children, we cannot just do it by just articulating, or human rights, etc. Because the poverty on the ground, the lack of education infrastructure on the ground, etc. These day-to-day necessities, which were so important to be built over the last 20 years, were not built, and not enough attention was paid to them. And now, the withdrawal of troops is going to take place, right? It was extremely important that we actually open dialogue with the Taliban, and the other Afghan forces with regard to what is going to happen to the women and children of Afghanistan.
So when you're watching the coverage of all of this unfold over the last week or so, is there something that you feel like is either missing or a key point that anybody watching really needs to pay attention to?
I think a little bit of coverage would be because there is, the crisis, the language around women and children is very, very important. The humanitarian crisis is important, but equally important is to pay attention to the security concerns in that particular area with regard to Afghanistan, again, becoming a hotbed of terrorism. And that is something which most major powers do not want, right? And how they can, each one of them, Russia, China, Iran, how we all need to sit around the table and talk and have a dialogue with Taliban with regard to these particular issues. Because this is exactly what the Taliban-Trump agreement, in a sense, says, that, after the withdrawal of the US forces, the intra-Afghan dialogue will have to be undertaken. And so how this dialogue takes place so that there is not another outbreak of another civil war situation or proxy war situation, how this dialogue unfolds is very important. And also holding back the humanitarian aid, which is so very important, and holding that as conditional to how these talks will work out, will cause more suffering to the people. And also, when you hold back this humanitarian aid, also, it becomes very difficult even for the locals, the representatives of the Afghan people, to actually carry back, a persuasive argument to their people.
As we wrap this up, Professor, 20 years, billions of dollars spent, countless lives lost, affected with the scars of war mentally and physically. What can and should we learn from this? What lessons are there to be learned?
I think the first most important lesson is that we really need to rethink our foreign policy because I think there is a lot of overemphasis on militarization and militarism as a solution to most problems. Because if you're waging a war on terror and you're only taking recourse and you're abandoning the project of nation building or state building, because we think we have contributed a lot of money. Yes, we have, right? But the fact of the matter is just contribution of money and heavy weaponry does not solve the problem. So the grassroots engagement, which requires the training of the people, is extremely important. Building the local institutions is very, very important. Because if you're going to fight terrorism by just saying, oh, they're going to launch counter-terrorism operations, there are also going to be counter-insurgency operations because the conditions of socioeconomic poverty have not been addressed. And that is precisely the problem because, and in every operation, whether it is journalist reporting, whether it is humanitarian aid, if the military is embedded in each of these particular situations, then where is the role of the civilian agencies, the State Department, diplomacy actually, to come and play a key role? And I think that is where the challenge really lies. And so therefore, instead of listening to the generals and saying, oh, this is not the right time, we should assert that this is precisely the right time, that why has the budget of the State Department been reduced, right? Why has the State Department's hands been tied when so many people have to be evacuated? Why is the machinery not working fast enough? Why is it so impoverished?
Dr. Ritu Mathur of UTSA, thanks so much for sharing some time with us and your perspective, helping us understand what we're all witnessing right now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. We'll be right back.